Hi friends, happy Monday, it's Miss Drywa. So this week for science, we're going to be talking about natural resources. And this should be kind of a review because we did talk about them in the beginning of the year in social studies. But now it's time to talk about them in science. So I figured this is a good topic this week because it's our last week before break, before summer. We'll just, talk about it all week, do some Nearpods, and then so let's get started. So natural resources. So let me move myself down. There we go. What is a natural resource? Well, friends, natural resources are things that we use that come from nature. So they're the things that we get from nature that we don't need to make. We don't need to make them, get them right from nature, and then we use them. So I have some examples. So oceans. So oceans, water in general, friends, like rain and all that we learned about the water cycle, it's all connected. This we get from nature. It's very important to us. We use water for many different reasons, but it doesn't need to be made. Sunlight as well. We use this, to help us, to help the plants that we eat. So this is a natural resource. It comes from nature. It doesn't need to be made. We don't make sunlight. Minerals and rocks, we just learned about them. They all come from nature. We have wind, right? We don't make the wind, but it comes from nature. It's a natural resource. Soil, we just learned about soil again. That's also from nature, right? We don't make soil, but we use it. Trees, also, trees come from nature. We don't make them, right? But they help us in many different ways. And we'll talk about tomorrow more how we use our natural resources. Corn. So corn really and trees, they go for all plants, friends. Flowers, bushes, trees. We have fruits, vegetables, all different types of plants are natural resources. We don't make them. We can grow them, but we're not really making them. They come from nature. And then chicken is really for all animals. We eat animals, friends, right? That's what we do. I know you like to eat chicken nuggets or maybe hamburgers and cheeseburgers or hot dogs. Those all come from animals, so we need to eat them. We need them, and they come from nature. And then oil. Oil is something that comes from the ground, and we use oil for many different reasons, friends. We'll talk about it more tomorrow, but like gas and to heat our house, so we put it in the car to get from place to place. We wouldn't be able to get to school without it. So those are our natural resources. We have our rain, water, sun, rocks and minerals, plants, wildlife, oil and gas, many different natural resources. So these are all the resources that come from nature. Natural resources come from nature. Okay, so basically nature is very similar, and resources are things that we use. Right? Then we have resources that we don't come from nature, and they're called man-made resources. So man-made resources are things that we use that do not come from nature. These things need to be made by humans. So, for example, paper. We use paper. You read the paper. We put papers in our books. We write on paper in school. We use paper for many different things. But it is man-made. Paper doesn't grow out of the ground, friends. Someone has to make it. We get it from trees, and then we turn it into paper with, machines and humans working in factories, and it's a man-made. A human has to make the paper, okay? Man-made resource. Same thing as a chair. Chairs don't just grow from nature. You can't just say, I'm going to go outside and pick a chair in my garden. That'd be silly. So we have to make them, but they come from the natural resources. Bread, same thing. Someone has to make the bread, just like when you make cupcakes or you make cakes or you make anything really. You have to make that bread, right? We use wheat and flour and all that, and that comes from nature. But the bread itself, you can't just go in your backyard and pick a loaf of bread. Shoes, this way goes for all clothing, friends. Shoes, your shirts, your jackets, all that. Someone has to make it. All right? It doesn't come from nature. You're not going to just be walking in the forest and find a forest full of shoes. And then we have jewelry. You know, my earrings. I bought these in the store and somebody made them. Right? They're man-made. They're not a natural resource. They didn't come from nature. Something like a pie, right? Also like the cupcakes they have, and the loaf of bread. They have in them natural resources, but we have to make them. These are man-made. We use pencils every day in school, right? But again, we have to buy them from a factory. Someone has to make the pencils for us. And then in social studies, you learned about living in the state of New York and the Statue of Liberty. Someone had to make that, right? They don't just have a garden full of statues. So these are just some examples of man-made things, okay? These are man-made resources, things that we use in our lives that someone has to make for us, okay? Then we have our natural resources. Those come from nature. You can find them outside. Right? If you go outside on a walk, you're going to find stuff like a puddle maybe, the sunlight, rocks and minerals, wind, soil, trees, corn, wildlife. Maybe it's a squirrel on your walk, a bird. Oil, you might not find it, but it's there. It's underground, and there are special machines like this one to dig it up. And then your man-made resources. These are the ones that you're not going to see growing out of the ground in a garden, or nature is not going to give us. Somebody has to make these, friends. All right, so that's basically what today's lesson is just going to be about. Natural resources come from nature. They're things that we use that come from nature. And your man-made resources are your resources that a human has to make. Okay, they do not come from nature. Natural, nature, man-made, human makes it. All right, so you have a Nearpod, and then you have a great day. Bye.